Well, right now I'm going to work tomorrow morning. A lot of our morale, welfare, and recreation facilities are closed currently, mainly because we don't have a lot of staff. I have a lot of high school kids, and their parents have either taken them somewhere else or, they're getting ready to voluntarily evacuate tomorrow. So tomorrow my plan is to go into work and kind of figure it out from there. The next step would be to evac all non-essential personnel, which would be myself included. And then worst case scenario comes, then they would literally evacuate everyone, even the mission essential personnel, and essentially close the base. But they're not there right now. They're not doing that whatsoever.
What's the mood on the base right now? Are people afraid?
Yes. The base is very different than outside the base in Japan. On the base, people are definitely, the two words that come to mind are panic or I guess two phrases, panicked and freaked out. A lot of the American spouses are extremely scared, especially ones with kids. They don't know, they think that the radiation is going to harm the kids. They don't really know what's going on with nuclear plants, so they are definitely in panic mode. It is, however, interesting to note that the Japanese spouses still remain pretty calm. We have a lot of American military personnel who are married to a Japanese spouse, and those Japanese spouses, from what I've seen, tend to remain a lot calmer. I live off base, actually, so that's also been kind of an interesting experience. On base has not been affected by any power outages. Off base, we have 3 to 4 hours a day of power, rolling blackouts, or rolling brownouts, I guess they're called. You've probably seen on TV too, but the Japanese are just amazing about staying calm, standing in lines, being orderly. There hasn't been a single case of looting, and I think that's what has amazed me the most is just how everybody's been able to pull together, whether it's needing food or shelter or, just comforting each other. The Japanese people definitely have not freaked out yet. And are really being patient and doing what they can to make it through this difficult time.
How about you personally? How do you feel about it?
Right now I'm just exhausted, mainly from just dealing with everything at work and trying to stay calm for my staff and my students and the patrons around us, because if we start to freak out, then, of course, that just makes it worse for everyone. But personally, I'm not extremely concerned. At first, I thought the Japanese government was telling us everything, and now I'm not so sure that they are telling us everything, because what we're hearing from the Japanese media and the Japanese government is not the same thing that we're hearing from the U.S. government and even countries in Europe and China and so forth. So I think that they're not telling us everything, but I also am not immediately concerned about the radiation affecting us in Yokosuka. Right now they're saying, for example, things like if you fly from Narita Airport in Tokyo back to the States, you're going to receive more radiation than if you would stay on base and just, a normal day, whether you're outdoors or indoors. They've also compared it to eating a banana or having a half a tablespoon of peanut butter, just things that you normally do every day in your life. You're receiving the same amount of radiation, if not more than what's actually in the air.
How has life changed on a daily basis following the earthquake and tsunami?
Well, a lot of the parents a lot of the parents pulled their kids out of school right away. They didn't want them to be outside. Earthquake hit on Friday, tsunami shortly after, so they had the weekend off, and life was fairly normal overall on Saturday and Sunday. The base had no structural damage. We had no injuries. The pool was quite a mess on our second floor, but once we got that cleaned up, it was almost business as usual over the weekend. However, on Monday, I'm not sure when they put out the suggested warning, but they at one point suggested that we limit our outdoor activity, and so from then on, a lot of our fitness facilities were empty, our school-age care programs, our after-school programs, the schools, parents were keeping the kids inside their homes, didn't want them to leave the house. So it's definitely changed a lot. Lines in the commissary, which is our grocery store, were extremely long, 75 to 100 people buying bottled water and canned goods and essentially buying out the commissary. Off base, though, was a lot worse. We still have food on our shelves. Off base, there's no bread. Almost everything is gone from the shelves of 7-Elevens and convenience stores as well as the regular grocery stores. And then the other big thing is gas. Off base, there's anywhere from 100 to 150 cars in lines at gas stations. On base, not as bad, maybe 50 or fewer cars in line, depending on what time you go. And they're also rationing it. At first, it was no more than 10 gallons a car. Now it's no more than 5 gallons a car. But, I mean, even though we're rationing it, no significant problems on base with gas whatsoever right now.
Are you continuing to feel any aftershocks?
Oh, yes. About 20 minutes ago, we had another one. I must be exhausted because I've not been feeling some of them. But we had one last night actually, we're probably due for another one soon here. We had one last night at 10:50, one the night before at 10:48, and both of those were fairly big, fairly long, especially people in our tower buildings that have up to 9 floors. They definitely felt them, went outside, evacuated the tower, but once the shaking stopped, went back inside, tried to go to sleep. But just sometimes we don't even know if there's an aftershock. You just feel like your whole body's shaking because we've had hundreds of them at this point.
When you talk to the people who are from Japan, how are they feeling about what's happening to their country?
I think they're split a little bit. I've talked to, obviously they're split, but the ones that I've spoken with, the ones who are on base and are working, I have half Japanese staff, half American staff on my aquatics team, and the ones who are on base are a little bit more concerned, I think solely because they see the Americans freaking out, and therefore they think they have something to worry about as well. But overall, when I talk to them, they're not as concerned. It's just the fact that now here's these Americans, these gaijin, the foreigners, who are voluntarily evacuating, and they think, oh, okay, well, we're being left here. There must be something wrong. But in talking with them overall, they're not as concerned, nearly as concerned as the Americans, at least not around Yokosuka, Yokohama, Tokyo area.
Amy Jo, the Elon community is trying to mobilize and do some things for Japan. Do you have any suggestions about how our campus community could help people in Japan?
Sure. One of the best things is honestly just to go through Red Cross. I know I've had several people and even some schools and classes want to donate and ship things directly here. But if you ship them here, then we just have to somehow get them up north to where they really need them. So one of the best things is to go through the American Red Cross. Also, I'm sure there's numerous Facebook groups, but if people are wanting to know specifically what's going on in Yokosuka base and, when people and if people are being evacuated and who to donate to, if they go to Commander Fleet Activities Yokosuka and they like that group on Facebook, then they'll be able to follow exactly what's going on. And there's also some good information on there on how to donate. But as long as you get it to your local Red Cross, whether monetary or blankets or jackets, they'll be sure and get it to the people in Sendai in northern Japan who really need it.
Are you feeling as if you're ready to leave Japan?
No, not now. I'm staying put unless there's, for some reason, they tell us that it's a mandatory evacuation. I don't feel right now I'm in any immediate danger whatsoever. Honestly, we have heat tonight and electricity tonight. They've been doing rolling blackouts, so we have heat, water, food, everything that we need. So right now we are very fortunate. It's just that if something else goes wrong with the nuclear reactors and if they melt down or leak or something like that, there's pretty strong possibility or probability that it will affect us then. But again, nothing bad has happened like that so far where it would directly affect us. So I don't feel like I'm in any immediate danger right now. So I would like to stay if possible.